So who's behind this high-stakes Qantas strategy, and will it work? You can trace the DNA back to the historic waterfront battle through a diaspora of hardline legal advisors and company executives. Qantas's plan may be radical, but some of the nation's leading industrial relations experts believe it will succeed, as Stephen Long reports.
This is in many ways the biggest dispute that we've seen since the waterfront dispute of the late 90s.
The biggest dispute in modern Labor history, a titanic battle that saw Patrick Stevedore sack its entire unionised workforce. Qantas is being advised by the same crew that devised that strategy, and Rio Tinto's tactics in its battle with the mining union in the 1990s, the law firm of choice for union busters.
To many observers of industrial relations, it's no surprise to find Qantas being represented by Freehills. They're a law firm that's been known for very aggressive advice, very aggressive strategies on behalf of a range of clients, including Rio Tinto, some of the banks.
The chairman of Qantas has a similar pedigree.
It's the dream team, Lee Clifford and Freehills. It's the same chairman, same law firm, same strategy. Lee Clifford was the CEO of Rio Tinto during all of the big Rio Tinto disputes in the mining industry from the mid-90s for the following decade. And we had 3-month strikes, 6-month strikes, 2-year lockouts, and they were all about forcing massive change to work practices.
But this time round, the tactics are different. Back then, companies didn't want the industrial tribunal involved. Clearly, Qantas has escalated this dispute to force it to compulsory arbitration.
Under the Fair Work Act, Fair Work Australia can only intervene where it can be shown that the dispute is having a significant effect upon the national economy or part of the national economy, and that's why I think the dispute has been engineered in this way.
I don't think there's any doubt that Qantas saw the lockout as an opportunity to get to compulsory arbitration as quickly as possible.
This will be a legal test case. It's a question of whether or not self-inflicted harm, self-inflicted damage can be counted. And it's an extraordinary concept, but I would think that it's very likely that it will be.
That would short-circuit the union tactics. They've gone softly, preparing for a long campaign, but pitching their action low to avoid triggering arbitration. Short stoppages, and in the case of the pilots, a mere PR campaign.
On behalf of all Qantas pilots, we'd like to thank you for choosing to fly with Qantas. We're proud of our profession and our airline, and trust you'll support us in keeping Qantas pilots in Qantas aircraft.
This isn't an ordinary dispute. Of course there's an element of a dispute about wages and conditions of work, but it's really a dispute about the future of Qantas.
Our jobs are going to be outsourced. There's no ifs or buts about it.
Clearly management haven't been able to win over the workforce, and the reason is that they actually do want to lower wages and conditions, and they do want to offshore jobs, and people aren't stupid. So in those circumstances, the company's running off to the Commission to have their will enforced. That's what it comes down to. And the Commission has formed.
The last time this type of arbitration occurred was in the coal and allied dispute. In that case, the Commission said all's fair in love and war. It would be highly unlikely that Fair Work Australia would stop a management strategy of greater competition in this type of arbitration. It just won't be able to do it.
So Qantas will win?
Qantas will win. Management tends to win in the long run in most disputes. Management has the capital and the power to disinvest. All workers have is the capacity to work.
Stephen Long reporting there. That Fair Work Australia meeting has been running all afternoon. Heather Hewitt joins us now from Melbourne. Heather, what new do you have to report?
Well, the general view here from all parties at this rather strange hearing on a Sunday in the middle of Melbourne's Spring Racing Carnival is that there should be a result by the end of tonight, that there's just too much riding on this for there not to be some sort of decision tonight. The government believes that it's on very strong grounds to win its application for a termination of industrial action by all sides, and that would mean an end to any plans for a lockout by Qantas tomorrow. Technically, that could also mean, and I stress could also mean that there would be planes could be up in the air as early as late tomorrow. The government is thinking that a termination would mean a 21-day period of conciliation amongst the parties. If that fails, then the Fair Work Australia Tribunal would have to arbitrate and settle this one way or another.
Heather Hewitt, thank you. Well, Qantas boss Alan Joyce started his day with a public relations carpet bombing campaign, appearing on about half a dozen news programs. But by mid-morning, there was a change of strategy, and Mr Joyce pulled out of an interview he'd agreed to do with 7:30 tonight. Some of the unanswered questions we wanted to put to him. Why didn't Qantas ask the federal government to intervene in this dispute before it got to this? When did planning for this event begin, including notifying partner airlines? And did Qantas underestimate the potential damage to its brand by announcing this move one day after Alan Joyce cemented a massive pay rise?